Hello everyone, it's Andrea from Old Room and I'm here with another video. This time I'm going to explain my creative progress, starting from an idea and ending to a full piece. I'm working only on my sketchbook because I don't really have a bigger paper here in the Netherlands. This time I started with an idea about memories and memories that become figures in our head and they form in a certain way that we think they exist and they dance in our head and they slowly drifting but never quite leaving from our head. So I started with the first idea that was a portrait kinda looking sideways and in its head there are some figures dancing. However, I didn't really like that idea, so I move on forward, just unconsciously drawing a different idea, which is a person which is actually going to be a self-portrait and there are going to be figures surrounding that person. At that point, I thought of the figures behind that were not going to be that detailed as their person in front. But in the whole progress, different elements changed on that sketch. Not that much though. The next step for me is always to find my references. I usually go on Pinterest and find something that I want, but in this situation I had something specific in my mind, so I couldn't really lose that much time searching for it on Pinterest. So I took a lot of pictures of myself, posing my hands, posing my face, posing my whole body, so I can have a small idea of how the body is going to look. The next step is to just draw in the bigger scale, in the scale that you actually want. I would prefer it if it was in a bigger scale than my sketchbook and do it with acrylics in a huge canvas. But for now I'm going to stay for my sketchbook and maybe in the future I might do it on a canvas. So what I usually do here is just lightly with my mechanical pencil draw the lines and rescaling everything actually from the quick sketch. I'm saying that you have to use light strokes because at the end you have to slightly erase everything to add color, but it depends on the medium you're using. If you're using acrylics, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to use alcohol-based markers that you can see through. At that time, I didn't really want to add that small figure in the background because I didn't know if it's going to fit in a good way. But I thought that it's a good representation of the memories that I start to drift away. And they're very back in your head, and maybe they are the people that you don't really talk with now, and it's been 10 or more years that you thought about them or that they exist in your real life. The next step for me, it's very weird because I don't really do that, but when I do it, it's very important. It's got a better understanding of my colors. So I take a picture of my sketch and I just upload it in my iPad and just briefly sketch everything. This could be easily done by printing your paper and just trying different colors on the paper. However, for me it was kind of pointless because why waste so much paper when at the end you are not really going to use it? So my tablet was perfect here. At that time I thought of warm and cold tones, so I could make a contrast of the living and the memories. So that's why you can see that the figures are kinda white with cold shades of gray, and the person in front has a normal skin color. And the next step is to start giving color to everything. I'm erasing my hard lines here, and I'm starting with my alcohol-based markers. I'm not that comfortable with them, although I'm trying to learn, and I know practice makes perfect. And I also I'm following a lot of people on Instagram that they very fondly use alcohol-based markers just to get a better understanding of how it's going to be used. I have some tips on that. I'm not an expert though. When you're using alcohol-based markers, always start with the light colors first, because once you add the darker colors, you cannot go over them and erase them in any way that you can with acrylics. In addition to that, you also have to be mindful of your whites, because once you draw on top of your white, you can never get them back, and it's very important to have an understanding of the light here, so you can leave whites, and if you don't like it, then you can go over with the lighter shade, but white is very important. And this is what I kind of do, is I layer over the colors, and when the darker color is too dark, I go back one lighter shade, and I do over it and start to blend it. In the left figure, I kinda messed it up for a little bit, because I started from a darker shade and then slowly got to the lighter shade, but my strokes were big, so the dark shade took more space than I anticipated. And at that time I understood that I'm lacking some shadows. So I decided to add pencil strokes and pen strokes there, so I can define and add more details to the shadows. And this is where I understood that because I know the color of my background, it's a better way to understand the shadows if I add my background, so I can see where the shadows are lacking and where I have to add more shadows to it. By adding my background, I have the ability to do that, but I also have the risk that the background might not go with the main elements. However, because I did the study with the colors before on my tablet, I know that black is okay. So if you're going to add the background like I do, be more mindful that you really want that color. And if you don't want that color, that your medium helps you to change it later on. For example, you can do that with pencil, you can change the color with pastels, you can change the colors with acrylics, but not really with watercolors, alcohol-based markers. It's not a common thing for me to have a structured creative process. However, I like it when I do it, because by having a structure, you have more time to think about your idea and what the meaning is behind your art. And therefore, you think more about the meaning that the viewer might find, because at the end, you don't really know what the viewer is going to think about your painting or how he's going to interpret it. by having a structure, you think more about, for example, for me it was how the skin is warm, and for the figures the skin is cold, because it's in my mind and they're not even existing. So if I didn't have that time to find the colors with my tablet, I wouldn't think about it in that way, and I would only stick with the figures having not enough details. Anyway, I think I'm going to leave you here to just relax watching the time lapse and listening to the music. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like that, and leave a like so I can know that you like them. If you have something to say, on an opinion of what I said so far, or an opinion about anything, just leave it below in the comments, and I can get back to you whenever YouTube decides to give me a notification about the comments. Thank you very much for watching and for staying until the end. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.